All right. Well, yeah, I don't know. This is the 2024 Toronto Blue Jays out there, ladies and gentlemen.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm Braden Iwasco. He's Carter First. You can find us on Twitter, Braden5 Iwasco. Carter First, too, as well on our main one, Locked On Jays. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at Locked On Blue Jays. If you're new here to YouTube, hit that subscribe button. You guys have been killing it lately. Keep that going. The more of you, the better. And if you're listening anywhere else, head over to the YouTube page, drop the subscription anyway. It does help us out. You guys get your live streams, your shorts, your videos, your podcasts, all right there. So make sure you guys go and do that. It sucked. Like, these last two games weren't fun. We're going to talk about just what this team looks like right now. We'll go over a little bit of the games, but what is there to go over when you get 2 hits in each ball game? Like, it's not that exciting. I got a story for you guys a little bit in regards to these games. We got to talk about the offense, obviously. We got to talk about the pitching. And we got to talk about, can this team figure it out? Or is this the team we're going to be watching for the next 140 games? Lot to go today. Carter, I guess, like, what's your feeling and attitude around this team right now? And again, I don't want to make it seem like this is the end of the world, but the little things that we talked about going into this year that had to change from last year, we started to see a little bit of that, right? The team was hitting baseballs, but they go through spells like this that make it seem like this team really hasn't changed from 2024. What are you thinking?
See, I try not to get too high or too low throughout the MLB season because there are going to be a lot of highs. You're going to be very excited after some series, and then some series are going to feel like this. You're going to feel like the sky is falling. You're going to feel like the Toronto Blue Jays are the worst team in all of baseball. And it's hard not to think that, when you have 4 hits through the first 2 games of a series. And I'm going to extend this all the way back to the Seattle Mariners series when you have that Saturday performance against Logan Gilbert. The last 4 games, comparing the last 4 games to the first 19 is like night and day. These last 4 games have been absolute snooze fest. It has been very hard to watch these baseball games because there's no offense whatsoever. That is the biggest, obviously, storyline of this entire season. The biggest storyline is the power, and it's hard. We're really harping on it, but it's impossible to ignore. You have 13 home runs on the year. It's second worst in all of baseball. You're giving up the 3rd most home runs in all of baseball. Clearly, this team, the league, MLB lives and dies by the long ball, and the Toronto Blue Jays are not hitting the long ball right now. But I guess the only shout out we can really give is to Nathan Lucas, kind of pulling like a Bradley Zimmer out of nowhere. People are saying DFA this guy, send him to AAA, get him off this baseball team. Nathan Lucas is really the only guy you could say that showed up against Ronald Blanco in this game. And Ronald Blanco obviously does have the history of dominating the Toronto Blue Jays, did no-hit the Toronto Blue Jays last season. And in this game, you could just tell that the Toronto Blue Jays' approach was to go after the slider early on in the count. And a lot of the time, they were getting way out in front of it. They were rolling over the ball, grounding out to shortstop, grounding out to second base. Ronald Blanco was getting weak contact throughout this entire game. And at what point are we going to say, hey, this team is not hitting home runs. This team is not getting a lot of offense. A lot of these guys are slow starters. It is still early on. But at what point are you going to continue to watch these baseball games, to continue to see just the lack of power, the lack of offense that this team has been producing? Honestly, the entire season, other than that first series against the Baltimore Orioles. So I'm not hitting the panic button yet, but it's definitely been a tough watch these last 4 games of Blue Jays baseball.
Yeah, and that's sort of where I'm at too. I had a lot of people come up to me and say, like, "Oh, is this the team? Like were we just in a little bit of a mirage to start the year?" And my answer is no. Right? This team has been hitting. It's just that you haven't gotten the long ball. You haven't gotten the extra base hits in key situations. And at some point, and again, this goes back to last year, you need your big dogs to be your big dogs. You need your superstars to be your superstars. And so far, like, yes, Bichette's been sick. I got to give it to him. But really, like, Vladdy and Santander, you need home runs from these guys. That's it. And yes, you need the rest of the lineup to hit as well. But it's just, it's not fun. It's not fun baseball to watch. It's probably not fun baseball for them to play when they're going through dry spells like this. But I have to do a little bit of a caveat here, because at the end of, or at the beginning of last year, Carter, we were hammering John Schneider, saying, and some of the players who kept saying, oh, well, it's still early. It's still early. It's still early. Well, Carter, we're saying that now. We're saying, oh, it's still early. These guys are slow starters. They're going to pick it up. But how much longer can we do that for? I don't think we can continually say that. At some point, we got to hope that this team we're 24 games into the season. At some point, this team has to be able to, you can't be a slow starter. You can't say, oh, well, I'll only hit 3 home runs in the first 40 games, but then I'll really turn it up at the end. Well, it might be too late for that. We need these guys to go now, because some of these games are winnable baseball games. You just have to be able to hit somewhat. The Seattle Mariners series, in 2 of those games, you could have won those games by a little bit of offense, and they couldn't get them. The last Houston Astros game, got shelled. Hits were, nothing was there. That's fine. This last game was a winnable baseball game again. And nothing. I don't know. I'm frustrated. I think the offense needs to be better. I think the superstars, Vladdy, Santander, they have to be better. The bottom of the lineup, I mean, again, I think you're really hoping that you get Daulton Varsho back and he brings a spark to the offense. And maybe his bat can be something special this year. I guess that's what you're hoping for. And George Springer's been great throughout the start of this season. But can you rely on him to be unbelievable and fantastic? Alan Roden looks promising, but again, a young guy. Will Wagner looks good, but isn't going to hit the long ball. So I have a lot of question marks on this team, and I don't want to write them off or get too low either. But it is frustrating. And that's where I'm, and I believe that you guys are all frustrated too. We see the comments. We see some of the text messages we get on Twitter or Instagram or whatever. We talked to people the other day. We went to the Winnipeg Whiteout party, and we ended up getting in big conversations with a bunch of Blue Jays fans out there. And they all sort of had the same feeling, can this team actually hit? Like, can we rely on the pitching for 162 games? Or is this team going to figure out a hit? And it was an impossible question to answer, because we don't know everything either. And we don't know if this team's going to turn it up. I guess, Carter, is this just the start of the year for this offense, or is this the Blue Jays you think is going to be around, just maybe a little bit better version for the rest of the year? Because I mean, they can't be this bad all year.
Yeah, you brought up the point that this team, we're saying it's a slow start again this year compared to last year. But my argument with that is this team looks a whole lot different than it did last year. Last year, you had Justin Turner in your 4-hole and you weren't hitting a lot of home runs. This year, you have Anthony Santander. I'm a lot more comfortable saying that Anthony Santander is going to figure out how to pick it up rather than a guy like Justin Turner. And just last year, there wasn't just the offense was the problem. Obviously, the offense was a problem, but you were worried about the bullpen. Starting pitching was a little bit more iffy as well. Jordan Romano had like a 7 ERA at this point last year. You had Tim Meza coming out in the 7th and 8th inning in high leverage situations. Trevor Richards was one of your best relief pitchers. So I was a whole lot more scared about the bullpen and the offense as an entirety, rather than this year, where I'm really confident about at least 4 of the starting pitchers. There is going to be an issue, obviously, with this 5th starting rotation spot. They're going to have to go with a 4-man rotation at some times. They're going to have to make use of their off days. And unfortunately, they're going to have to throw these guys a little bit more often than they're going to last season. But there's just a lot different right now. You have more complementary players. Like, I'm more confident in guys like Alan Roden or guys like Will Wagner this season, Andrus Gimenez, than the guys that we had in these spots last season. So right now, when you talk about like the top guys not really hitting, you said Bo Bichette's been really good, and he has been really good, but Bo Bichette hasn't hit a home run in 50 games either. There's been a very long time that Bo Bichette hasn't hit a home run, and he's not going to be this massive power hitter. But Bo Bichette, just because he hits the ball so hard and he makes such a contact, he should accidentally hit 10 to 15 home runs without him even honestly trying to hit those home runs. So there's a little bit of uncertainty there as well. I'm a little bit concerned that Bo Bichette as well isn't really getting that power. He still is lining the ball all over the place. He is hitting the ball insanely hard. So, and more traditionally, you have Anthony Santander and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. as your power guys. But the biggest question we're going to have to ask ourselves is, like you said, it can't get this much worse. Anthony Santander and Vladdy are I'm going to keep harping on this. They have to start hitting home runs. They're too good of baseball players to not hit home runs. The other issue is, though, can you rely on guys like George Springer? Can you rely on guys like Daulton Varsho? Andrus Gimenez has been horrific, honestly, after that April series against the Baltimore Orioles. He's hitting like 190, doesn't have a ton of extra base hits. We're kind of seeing this experiment failing, which was pretty obvious with Andrus Gimenez in that 4-hole. So I think this season compared to last season, there are a lot of differences, but there definitely is some power concerns for this baseball team. And I'm not exactly sure if Daulton Varsho and George Springer are going to be able to be those guys that can inject some fuel into this lineup and actually start hitting these home runs.
Yeah, I think the pieces of a good baseball team are here, right? I think you have a lot of the components. It's just, can they all work together at the same time? And you're right. We haven't seen what Anthony Santander or Vladdy can be this season, because I 100% agree. I think they do turn it up eventually. It just is eventually too late, and I think that's what a lot of people are harping on is when does it become too late? And this team, thank God, gave themselves a little bit of breathing room with picking up a decent amount of wins to start the year, right? Like if you don't pick up some of these wins or whatever earlier in the season and you're well under 500 right now, maybe you're a little bit concerned because that's a tougher hole to crawl yourself out of. But where they're at right now, it's still manageable, right? You're not as worried because they haven't been dropping a ton of games. Yes, 4 straight is tough. It's not a great look. You don't want to see a team drop 4 straight ever, but it's where they're at. And now you got to see, okay, what are these guys? What kind of heart do these guys got in them that they can come back for the 3rd game of this series and put in some work and do some damage? That's something I'm really going to be interested in for this 3rd game of this series, Carter. And I know we got to talk pitching staff because it's not all doom and gloom, right? The pitching staff, you said it, the bullpen, all of them have been great. There has been very promising days from Alan Roden, Will Wagner, all these guys, the return of possibly Daulton Varsho. And we also got to talk about what we're going to do for that 4-hole, because you are way right. Andrus Gimenez is not a 4-hole hitter. And I know we joked early in the season, when he was hitting bombs, this is great. But I think in the back of everybody's head, we knew that wasn't going to be the staple for this team. So we're going to talk about all that and a lot more, because there are feelings and thoughts we have to get out when you go through a bad spell and a bad stretch, and what's the solution. So we're going to talk it through. Leave us your guys' comments as well. What do you think could be a fix for this team? Do you still have faith in this team? And we want to hear from you guys. Maybe we'll do a couple answers if you guys give us some good ones in the comments on one of these days coming up. We'll be right back with a lot more.
Today's episode is sponsored by Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site that's made for the skilled trades, supplyhouse.com. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, supplyhouse.com is the most reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for the trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM. Start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That is SH5 for 5% off your first order, and that is at supplyhouse.com.
So, Carter, I think on everything right now, right? We got to look back at least, at the starting pitching. Out of everything, I think that's something, not even just the starting pitching, the pitching in general, right? The offense hasn't come to play, but I mean, is it the best day from Kevin Gausman and Chris Bassitt, each giving up 4 runs? No, it's not the best day. They're not their best outings. But when your pitching staff goes out and allows 5 runs, and Yariel obviously gives up 1 as well, and I'm not saying that this offense should come out and be able to win every game, 7-5 or 8-5 or, 9-7. But they got to be able to get that sometimes. You're sometimes going to have to bail out your starters for not having their best day every time they're on the mound. That's just unrealistic. So at some point, as much as I'm praising this pitching staff, I got to remember that these guys are also human beings and can have not their best day. And it's just that you hope your offense can come through for you on those days when you don't have your best stuff or your best day on the mound. And do you think that this is going to frustrate the starting pitching? I mean, they went through it a little bit last year. And obviously, these guys weren't at their best last year. We didn't see the best Kevin Gausman. We didn't see the best Jose Berrios last year, right? This year, we're seeing a great year from Chris Bassitt to start off. We're seeing a great year from Kevin Gausman to start off. Do you think it's frustrating for them when they go out and, one day they give their best stuff and they can scrape by a win, but then the next day, it wasn't really my day out there. I was hoping that the offense could pick me up, and they didn't. Do you think that's like a mentality thing? Like, do you get wears on them at all?
Yes, the short answer, absolutely, it does. Imagine going out there, like, let's take away these starts. Again, like you said, these guys are human beings. As much as I love to say, oh, Jose Berrios, Chris Bassitt, they're going to go out there, 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, whatever it is. You're not going to have your exact perfect stuff every single day. Buck Martinez said this last year on the broadcast, said that with starting pitchers, you want to start about 30 games. 10 of those games, you're going to have your stuff. You're going to feel dialed. You're going to have all your command. 10 other of those games, you're going to kind of be okay. Maybe they won't have one pitch. Well, you'll have most of your stuff. You'll kind of be able to work through it. And then 10 games, you're probably not going to have some stuff. Something's going to go wrong. Maybe the command's going to be out the window. It might be cold. There might be, again, outside factors that kind of contribute into the game. You're going to have to battle through some of those starts. And that's kind of what Chris Bassitt and Kevin Gausman did in these 2 games. And just kind of going over what happened with Chris Bassitt and how they actually scored runs on Chris Bassitt. Because honestly, it was pretty unfortunate what happened in that first inning. Just a couple of unfortunate plays. Again, infield single, Will Wagner stops the ball but isn't able to get the out. We have a walk in that inning. There's a base hit up the middle that hits second base. So again, another infield single. So really, when you look at it, there wasn't a ton of hard contact in the inning. Actually, the hardest contact were on the outs that Chris Bassitt got in the first inning. So it was a little bit unlucky. Those obviously accounted for 3 of his 4 earned runs. So in games like this, you're not going to have, you're not going to be able to, again, go out and put out zeros every single time going out. But yeah, right now, definitely frustrating to see the offense is not scoring a single run. But it definitely would be a lot more frustrating if we had like a Kevin Gausman or Chris Bassitt, Cy Young quality performance, and they go 8 innings pitch shutout, and then, if you lose 1-0 because the bullpen blows it, I think you're going to be a lot more frustrated there. But like we said, this has kind of been a problem for the last 2 seasons. 2023, this offense wasn't that good. 2024, this offense wasn't that good. Now you're going into a 3rd season of this. Kevin Gausman's a veteran. Chris Bassitt's a veteran. Jose Berrios is a veteran. They want to be winning baseball games. And with Chris Bassitt, didn't have a very good season last year. In the second half of the season, you can tell that Chris Bassitt just stopped caring. His team was not going to be in a playoff spot. This guy is an established pitcher in the league. He was going to be under contract for the next season. It's hard to go out there when you're 36 years old, 35 years old at that time. You want to win baseball games, and you're pitching very well. You're pitching effectively, and your offense just isn't scoring runs whatsoever. But I want to backtrack to kind of what we were talking about in the first segment, and just like can we be overcritical about this team? Can we have causes for concern for this team? Absolutely, we can, about the power. But there's always going to be this caveat in my head because, again, comparing it to last year, comparing to this year, Toronto Blue Jays have a very hard April schedule. It's one of the hardest schedules that any team has for the month of April. You play the Orioles. Nationals really the only easy team here. You played the Mets. You played the Red Sox. You played the Orioles again. You played the Braves. You've played the Seattle Mariners. You've played the Houston Astros. And just going over the pitchers the Toronto Blue Jays have faced in the last few games. They faced Grant Holmes, which probably the worst pitcher on this list. Spencer Schwellenbach, Spencer Strider, Brian Wu, Logan Gilbert, Luis Castillo, Hunter Brown, Ronald Blanco. These guys are not bums whatsoever. These are some of the better pitchers in Major League Baseball. And yes, it was super frustrating, obviously, when you're only getting 4 hits in a series. You're 4 for 58 in this series right now. You've had 7 base runners in 2 games. That's not going to get it done. I don't care if you're going against Nolan Ryan or if you're going against IKF. Just all of a sudden, that's getting thrown on the mound. You got to get hits. You got to score runs. And yes, eventually this will take a toll on the starting pitching. But at the end of the day, this is 4 games. It feels like an eternity right now. Again, we got to hope things can get better. And again, for me, it's just the mentality around this team right now, and the skill that you do have on this team in 2025 is a lot better than 2024. So with all things considered, it definitely sucks right now, but I still have to be optimistic about this baseball team. At the end of the day, we're still 500.
Yeah, no, and that's a great point. Honest to God, it's a great point. It's a tough schedule. And honestly, you're sitting at 500 and you're okay with it. You're not thrilled because obviously you want your team to be, you made headroom and then you sort of gave it all back. And I think that's part of the frustration too, is there was promise and there was hope. And now you're back at 500 after 4 games. And you're like, oh no, is the sheet getting pulled out from underneath me, right? And I hope not. like, again, you hope that this team can bounce back. And a point that you were making, just going back to the starting pitching that they have faced already, and those are some great pitchers. And let's not get confused. Some days you're going to go out there and you're going to get to face a bum, and you think that you're going to be able to shell them, and you don't bring your stuff. Tough day. But then there's going to be some games where you take advantage. One of these guys, you get on them. And I look back at the Luis Castillo game, Carter, where he was pitching. I thought the Jays should have been all over him. Like, they were getting the singles. They were getting to him. But they just couldn't cap anything off. And those are the games that you want to take advantage of when you are able to get on somebody and you have the opportunity to do some damage against a really good pitcher, and you're just not able to get it done. That's frustrating too, because you don't get the games where these guys aren't on their stuff all the time. Well, you might only see them once a year. And when they don't bring their best stuff to the ballpark, and those are the games you think, we got to get this one. And it didn't happen. And I think Ronald Blanco, to be honest with you, isn't a superstar pitcher. He's good, but I don't think he's unbelievable. And this was a tough game. And if I think, if we would have saw the Jays from 2 weeks ago play them, I think this is a different ball game. It's just the guys just didn't have it today or yesterday or the day before or the day before or the day before that. For 4 games, this team has not had their best stuff. But you're right. It's a 4-game spell. You're going to have points during the season where you go on 4-game slides. There'll be points during the season where you'll win 4 straight. So I'm trying not to be super irritated, I guess, by this. But in the same respect, it is frustrating when you sit there and watch your baseball team do nothing for 4 games. So I just want to hear from the people, to be honest, because, like, again, me and you sit and watch these games with such a critical eye on everything. Whereas from fans who are just watching the games to watch the games and, don't come onto a podcast and break down all the little intricacies of the game. What do you guys see? Like, are you guys thinking differently about this team? Because we have one buddy, and we talk about him all the time, super overcritical of this baseball team. When they're doing well, he's being critical of this baseball team. But some of the things he says, we go on 4-game slides, and I'm like, well, he's not wrong. I don't know. I'm a little all over the place, I guess, right now with where my feelings are at. I'm frustrated, but still hopeful. So I think that's a decent place to be in when you're 20, 4 games into the season. I think that's okay, because I think there are a lot of teams that aren't having the best start to the year that they wanted to. I mean, you look at the Orioles, they're not having the best start to their season.
Their pitching's horrific.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think, again, we could be in worse situations right now. I mean, you're still second? Are they second right now, still in the AL East?
Yeah, I mean, they're third, but I don't really care about the standings right now. We're 24 games into the season.
That's what I mean.
There is a ton of baseball to be played. So, like, right now, the AL East is fairly open right now. The Yankees, I think, are the clear-cut favorites right now.
Yeah.
But it is really open. A lot of these teams do have some shortcomings. The Rays don't look like that good of a baseball team, which, I mean, we kind of predicted.
Yeah.
You were really high on the Rays this year. It looks like that is going to work out for you. I thought the Baltimore Orioles would be better. Like I said, their starting pitching is horrific. Like, not one of their starting pitchers, I'm confident that they can go out there on a day-to-day and give them a chance to win. The Red Sox, good lineup. Again, that's going to be a team that's definitely trying to stiff the playoffs. And just one thing, again, if we're kind of backtracking here, we're kind of a little bit all over the place, obviously, for this episode. But back to Ronald Blanco. Going into this game, he had like a 6.5 ERA. He was getting absolutely blown up. Obviously, had a very good year in 2024, but didn't really have any success in the majors before that. Didn't really play in the major leagues before that. So he is fairly new to the major leagues right now. And I think the Toronto Blue Jays approach to just their at-bats were kind of helping him out in this game. They were helping him out a ton of different times. Again, rolling over outside sliders, being early on change-ups, kind of just pushing it the other way. Just the at-bats a lot of the time. Just they were not taking a lot of good swings. And that's what we've kind of been seeing in the last 2 games. Whereas, like, in the Seattle Mariners series, the biggest thing was they just weren't scoring in these big situations.
Yeah.
They had runners on second with 1 out. They had runners on first and second, no outs, 1 out. They had bases loaded, 1 out. They just weren't scoring runs. The difference in the Houston Astros series is that they're just getting dominated right now in the batter's box. They don't look competitive whatsoever. So, again, this 4-game stretch has been horrific, to say the least. Not a lot of fun whatsoever. But the week before this, we were pretty high on this baseball team. We were 12-8 at one point. We were excited. The boys were kind of rolling. Again, they were manufacturing runs. They were getting hits again, not they weren't having the big inning necessarily, but they were driving in runs. They were doing a decent job at manufacturing and getting guys at least scoring a couple runs to give your team a chance to win. But that's just the highs and lows of a baseball season. That is the roller coaster of a baseball season. It's not always going to be on the upward trend. The success is definitely not going to be linear. You're going to have hopefully big win streaks and hopefully not these losing streaks. And hopefully we can end this losing streak at 4 games. But yeah, something obviously has to give. I don't know if I can continue to watch this baseball team, just struggle in the box. I would do some ridiculous things right now for a 3-4-5 home run game from this Toronto Blue Jays club. I don't even remember really what a multi-home run game is like. Like, what does that even exist for Toronto Blue Jays fans anymore? Is that where we're at?
Yeah, it's tough. You know what, I think back to like Edwin Encarnacion and Jose Bautista and Josh Donaldson, when those guys used to just send moonballs over the wall.
We had Randall Gritchucks hitting 20 home runs, just waking up, rolling out of bed. I'm not going to say he's a nobody, but not a guy that you're necessarily going to expect to be a power hitter. Now we're struggling to get 1 home run a baseball game. Nathan Lucas is the guy that's trying to carry an offense. And when people were saying he was supposed to get DFA'd, I'm not sure if this is going to help his case too much, but the timing is pretty hilarious on this one. But yeah, not a lot of good things to say about this baseball team right now. You obviously cannot blame the pitching whatsoever. You're blaming Chris Bassitt for this loss. I might have some not so nice words for you because it just doesn't make any sense. Chris Bassitt, I mean, it's not, 8 years ago where they obviously in the AL you can do this, but pitchers can't hit anymore. Maybe that's the difference. Maybe we need Kevin Gausman to step in the box. Maybe we need Yusei Kikuchi, obviously was a base runner. We got to find that type of guy. Someone's got to ignite this offense. Maybe it's Kevin Gausman. Maybe, John Schneider goes in there, kind of, steps up to the plate. At this point, I mean, we can't really get that much worse, right?
Yeah, not in the hitting side of it, that's for sure. No, and you know what, Carter? Maybe we got to talk about in this next game, what do we need to see? And obviously, there's the easy answer: hits. Oh, shockingly enough, right? But I think there's little things that we need to see, and what can we expect? Because I think getting swept and going on a 5-game losing streak is a horrific view for this team. So we're going to talk a little bit more about this. Plus, how important is an off day for this team right now? And so we're going to talk about all that right after this short break. We'll come back.
Today's episode is also sponsored by Wonderful Pistachios. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help you keep feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no shells variety. It's the perfect grab and go snack for the busy days, whether I'm snacking at my desk, going on a road trip, going golfing with the boys now. Obviously, it's finally warm in Canada, so I have been on the golf course. Wonderful Pistachios, perfect convenient snack for those quick times that after work or after school you want to get to the golf course, and that's absolutely what I've been doing. Another nice thing about Wonderful Pistachios is that they are a complete protein and they provide all 9 essential amino acids. Get snacking and get cracking with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. That's wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more.
So Carter mentioned golf there just before we continue on. So we went out on Monday, for those of you who care about our day-to-day lives. We went out golfing before the whiteout on Monday, had a tee time booked first of the year. I shot a 51 on the front, 41 on the back, so ended up shooting a 92, which for the start of my year, first round, I'll take 41 on the back 9. I love it. Carter didn't have his best day, but I sort of ailed him in this game, I guess. So we were in the 4th hole. I pipe a great shot right down the middle, right middle of the fairway. I have to go over some water. And I feel pretty confident with my irons. Like, honestly, I didn't really miss an iron shot for the first 3 holes. It was going pretty good. Little left, little right, but up in the air straight, pretty good. So Carter's in front of me, and he's sort of walking to his ball, and I'm like, maybe you should watch out. And he goes, you know what? No, you're good. I'm good. He's sort of watching me.
I don't know if I'm necessarily like I'm not like right in front of you here. I'm
you're
pretty,
like 40,
pretty far off to the left.
Like, 40 feet in front, like probably 10 feet to the left. And I wire this ball, skull this ball to the moon. And it had a little curve on it, like I was throwing a slider. And this ball absolutely clocks Carter right in the I don't even know, like sort of low back side,
Yeah,
I guess.
it was around my hip area. You're definitely underplaying how bad of a shot this was. You're like, making it seem like I was just waiting for you to hit me and I'm
Oh,
just
no.
target practice in the fairway.
It was a bad
This
shot.
guy absolutely shanked a ball probably, well, you said 10 feet. It was more like 30 feet. It was not even close to the hole. You were going to be close to the hole 5 tee box where this ball was end
Yeah,
up. That was the line you were taking.
it was a bad shot, and I didn't hit a bad iron shot the rest of the day, but I think it's because I was so scared about hitting another human being, and I just wasn't thinking about it. So Carter, worse for the wear on that one. That's my bad. It looks horrific.
Who would have
It
thought you get hit by a golf ball? It's not going to look the greatest. And I guess, when you got Braden early on in the season, I guess I had a little bit too much respect for his golf game. So a little bit of, I guess that could be a little bit on me. But the good thing, I was looking around. This ball had heat-seeking missile. It was a heat-seeking missile on me. I tried to move out of the way. It spun right into me. Line drive. The only time I have even been close to getting hit with a golf ball ever is when I've been golfing with an Owasco. So I don't know. I think that says something about their golf games. His brother obviously almost hit me one time. His cousin bounced one into me one time. So I don't know. Something about these Owascos golfing. I got to watch out. They're out for blood on the golf course for some reason.
that's why I
Braden's
don't.
scared to lose so much to me that he tried to take me out on the golf course. And of
Yeah,
course, this is our first round of the year. And the Toronto Blue Jays lose 7-0. Just not a good day for Carter First and his mental at all whatsoever.
no, and that's why I don't play baseball with Justin Powers anymore, because he seeks one for my head. So at least I didn't get you in the head. That's a positive. If you had to take one, right? And to be fair, he did save my ball from going in the water as well, so
Yeah,
I didn't lose a
that was
stroke.
the icing on the cake too. Is that right after I get hit with this ball, he's like, "Well, you saved me from going in the water." Like exactly exactly what I wanted to hear after getting hit with a golf ball. But anyway, back to the baseball. I don't know, man. Like, can we get what's the asking for this game? Are we going for 3 hits? Are we going for maybe like 2 runs? Like, I don't even think we can ask for multiple home runs. Maybe we ask for 1. Like, where
Yeah.
are you at with this baseball game? Like, it's Ryan Gusto on the mound. He's had a pretty good start to the season, but again, not a guy that's necessarily established as this unbelievable major league starter. So, what are you expecting from this baseball game, and what are you looking to see that's obviously different without like the short answer of being like just a home run? Are we just
Well,
looking to see better at bats? Like, what's the main thing you want to see from this baseball game?
yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? Because a piece of me believes that this team losing this next game going into an off day maybe ignites something. And I think if they win this game, maybe everything gets swept under the rug. And I don't necessarily know if that's a good thing. And winning the baseball game is great, but I think you can't sweep some of the underlying things under the rug, right? You can't sweep the fact that they're chasing baseballs. You can't forget about all that. You have to go into this game thinking that they can hit the ball and come out on top. But moving on, especially into an off day, not that you want to be thinking about how bad you played over the past couple games, but I think it's got to be used as a little bit of a push. I want to see a push from this team. I want to see the offense do what they have to do, take some bags if you get on base, be aggressive, try to get some runs and do what you have to do. And a home run, yeah, more hits, yeah, those are the obvious answers. It's more the mentality and what this team then comes to bring, not only in this next game, but in the next series. I think that's huge. That's the biggest thing I want to see the change is the mentality of, hey, we can't drop 4 games and do nothing. Like, somebody's got to move the needle. And just who's that going to be? Who's going to be the guy that brings the spark plug, I guess.
Well, and around the corner, the Toronto Blue Jays do have their AL East rivals coming up. It's the New York Yankees. You definitely want to switch the momentum a little bit. I don't think you want to go into a series against right now the AL East leader, the AL East favorite of the New York Yankees, going in there with a 5-game losing streak. It's not exactly like that's not where you want to be whatsoever. And I can't imagine that we're going to be feeling very good if they do end up losing this last game. Ryan Gusto, again, is a guy so far has only pitched 17 innings in the major league. So again, not experienced whatsoever. But so far throughout his first couple of starts, he has had a very good chase rate. And the Toronto Blue Jays have been chasing a lot of pitches in the last couple of games. Again, I'm kind of viewing this Toronto Blue Jays team right now as like the first 19 or however many games, and then the last 4 games. Because the last 4 games, this is like 2024 vibes. I want to pull my hair out watching this baseball team. And I don't think this baseball team is like they are in 2024. There's so many different reasons to get more excited about this baseball team compared to how they were in 2024. Obviously, Jeff Hoffman, all the additions that we do have. And again, the schedule will get better. The pitching matchups will get a little bit easier. That should naturally help this team hit a little bit more. But for me, I want to see a different approach in this game. You got to be a little bit more patient against a guy like Ryan Gusto. He's not going to give you a lot of free bases throughout this start. So the Toronto Blue Jays are going to have to work for it. They are going to have to work for their success and put in some effort and have just way better of quality at bats, not chase pitches, wait on specific pitches, take advantage of the mistakes from a young baseball player. Again, the sky might feel like it's fallen if the Toronto Blue Jays do go on this 5-game losing skid. If you do end up winning this game, you're 13-12. Again, the last week is not exactly where you want to be at. That's not how you want your weeks to go. But at the end of the day, you're 13-12 with a gauntlet of a schedule. Things could be a lot worse in Toronto Blue Jays land.
Yeah, it definitely can be. It definitely can be. But you're right. Going up and facing the New York Yankees after this is that's tough sledding right now. So you gotta hope and pray that you can somehow figure out a way to win this next game, and then you gotta go and hope you can steal a couple in New York. So again, we'll have to wait and see.
Would
What
you say
happens.
this is must-win territory? Like, is this a must-win for the Toronto Blue Jays? Maybe like that TSN turning
No.
point where they used to do it with like Jay Onray and all that. Like, is that what we're saying right now? If they
No.
lose this game?
No. And I'll tell you the exact reason for that is because of the off day before they play New York. If there was no off day and you go from losing 5 straight into playing New York, then yeah, it's probably must win. But I think an off day for a little bit of a reset here, that might be big and pretty massive for this team because they might need to hit a little bit of a reset button mentally. So I'm going to say no. I think it's an important one. I don't think it's TSN turning point. I don't think it's a must win, but obviously it would help. But
I
no.
got a fix here for the Toronto Blue Jays. I got a little bit of an
All right, this is
incentivized
gonna be
reward here.
ridiculous.
Here for the Blue Jays. This is what we're gonna do. If it's, I'm not even gonna say that. What if things don't go well tomorrow? From like that, the Blue Jays punishment. They got to golf with you. They're going on the off day. They're golf with Braden Owasco. They're going to be in the danger zone. They're going to be stressed. They don't want to put themselves in that situation. I can tell you that firsthand. So they got to win a baseball game, or you got to have a. There's going to be some safety concerns, obviously, on that golf course. So must win for their self-preservation, we'll say, for the Toronto Blue Jays on Wednesday.
I'll tell you, it's a must win for me personally because if not, I'm going to get another phone call from Jim Toth. So every time the Astros beat the Blue Jays, I get a phone call from Jim Toth, and this is all I hear on the other end of the line. I don't even have to say anything. All I hear is, well, and then he hangs up the phone. So I don't want another voicemail like that, so I'd prefer to be able to send him one, but the Blue Jays aren't helping me here. They're not helping me. Can they do it? We'll see. We always appreciate you guys watching. As always, leave a comment. We want to hear your guys' opinion massively, actually, especially now. As well, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. It does help us out, and it's free. You might as well do it. It really does help a ton. So, again, we'll talk to you guys tomorrow, hopefully in a better state of mind, post a hopeful Blue Jays win. Carter, anything else before we kick out of here for the day?
Let's get the Toronto Blue Jays to allow us to be happy again. I want my happiness back, and it all stems from a Toronto Blue Jays win. Thank you guys for watching, and we will be back with you guys tomorrow.